Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do the unboxing of the Florida Fishing Products Osprey CE. So they sent me the reel, Osprey CE Pro. This is a 3000 model. They did ask what model I was looking for or which one I wanted. They sent me the 3000. It has line on it. Just keep that in mind. So you're going to see that once I open the box, it's going to be spooled. That's because they actually offered to spool the reel for me. So that's great. Send me a Florida Fishing Products hat. We're going to change that real quick here. Yep. Fits well. For sake of transparency, I do want to let you know that Florida Fishing Products sent me a message asking if I wanted to do a review for the reel. I've done reviews for them before for the Bahia 2500 that I got on iCast. So obviously I said yes, I like their products, but this is a product they send me for review. I will give you my unbiased opinion. I will give you things that I like, things that I wouldn't like of the reel, etc. With that being said, I haven't seen the reel yet. I've only seen a picture on Instagram, not Instagram, I think it was on their website. But this is the first opening we're doing of the reel, so it's going to be our first impressions video for the most part. I do have a set of information for the reel. I know the specs, so that's going to be great. We're going to go over that in a couple of minutes. I got the price points, I got the models that are going to be launched, and I got the models that are going to be released after a period of time. I also have the release date, and I think with that, we have everything we need to look at the reel. Before we open the box, first thing is that you're going to notice that it's going to give you the specs. The specs are going to be on the box. In this case, you're going to see that this model, the 3000, it has 22 pounds of drag. It's a 6-to-1 ratio, so it's a fast reel, which I like. So that's going to be the first thing I like. I knew beforehand that was the gear ratio, but I like fast reel. Once you open the box, you will see that they will give you a recommendation of when to service the reel. 12 months, 24 months, 48, 36, and 60, etc. Keep in mind that this is something that you could do yourself, but if you don't want to do it yourself, you can actually send the reel to Florida Fishing Products, and they will give you a service. They will service that reel for you. I think it's somewhere around $49.99 or $50. But they do send, that covers the shipping back to your house. Turnout is pretty quick. If you're based on Florida, if you're based out of the state, it's going to take a little bit longer. But with that being said, they're very quick when it comes to the servicing. Also, if you dump your reel underwater, saltwater, for example, you can actually send it to them and they will make sure that everything's all right. They will clean it up. They will fix it up for you for that same price. So let's see. One of the first things that I noticed from this particular reel compared to the Bahia and the Salos, which is the other reel that's going to be part of their lineup, is that this one has a travel bag. So this is a travel bag right here. Very nice. Keep in mind, something that I wanted to tell you guys is that while this is the new Osprey offering, this is the Osprey CE Pro, they're actually sunsetting their older version of the Osprey. So what they did is they have 3 reels that are gonna be part of their lineup. They have the Salos, which is your entry point or entry price point. Cheaper reel for people that just want to get in the water, have fun. Still, good for saltwater, but not as secured as the others. Then you have your Bahia 2500, which is sealed. It's a aluminum frame. It's a black reel, very good reel overall. A ton of drag. I think it has 18 to 19 pounds of drag. And then I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm going to post the correction here. And then you have your crown jewel, as you can call them, which is the Osprey CE Pro, which is their tier 3 or highest level of sealage. And your CNC is going to be better, your porting is going to be better, and you're just going to get a few things that you don't have on the Bahia. We'll go over that once we see the reel. So we're going to open up our bag here and make sure that you guys can see that up here on the phone. It's going to have your handle. So a couple of things about the handle. Again, it's an aluminum handle. Let's see if we can, but there's one thing, it's ported. You can see right here that there's this is CNC machine again, it's ported. That is meant to cut weight for the reel. With that being said, this is sturdy. It's not going to bend. You won't have an issue with that. So this is great. Then you have your, I call them bubble. I don't know. Let me see. They have a name here for this. It's so this is what they call a tab handle. So this handle right here, you get the tab handle, and there's another model on the 4000, you're gonna get a different one. We'll go over that here in a second. Then you have your reel. So this is nice. This is very nice. So a couple of things I want to show you, or I want to go over. I know for a fact that this is what they call their carbon light model or frame. So the frame is going to be very similar to what you see on the Daiwa ballistics, where you have that carbon composite or that carbon light frame. You have that on the shaft here up to the body. Then you have your spool, the spool area right here. This right here is not plastic, carbon light. I'm sorry. And then you have aluminum here in the spool. So we're gonna go over a couple of those things, but let's get the handle in and see. Let's see how smooth the reel is. Okay, let's see. So now we have the handle on the reel. Feels significant. It feels smooth. Definitely smooth. You can see it here. Some companies, they pre-oil and they pre-lube your reel. So some of them might have a little bit more lube and it's not as smooth. And then as progressively as you're using it, it will get softer. In this case, out of the box, it feels very good, very smooth. I don't feel any resistance, right? So you call it resistance, where once you're winding that line into the reel, there's resistance and it just doesn't feel good. This one in particular doesn't have that. I like it. It feels smooth. But sturdy at the same time. Let's see. So from a first impression perspective, I like it. It's not heavily ported. Some companies heavily port their reels to cut weight. I don't necessarily like that because it gives you a lot of entryways for saltwater. So if you look at what they did, I want to show you this real quick. So there's a couple of things. So there's porting on the spool, but minimal. There's porting on the shaft here, this right here, and there is porting on the handle. So let's look at the handle on the handle. I don't think none of these are a particular problem. I like the fact that it's still lightweight. We'll go over the spec of how heavy it is, but not compromising too much like saltwater entry options or places that it could get saltwater. So let's talk about launch date. The reel is set to launch on March 18th, 2024. You're gonna get 3 different options. You're gonna get a 2500, you're gonna get a 3000, and a 4000. Right here, I have the 3000, as I said. This one's gonna retail for $239.99. The 4000 is gonna retail for $249.99, and the 4000 is gonna retail for $259.99. There is another reel that's gonna launch from this particular lineup that's gonna launch on July, and that's gonna be the 1000 version. So the 1K version is gonna release a little bit later. As you know, I like those versions because they are very fun for pico bass and bass fishing. A lot of the finesse applications that I use when I want to have fun use a 1K reel. So I'm very excited for that. Definitely gonna grab one for myself. Let's talk about what the carbon light frame means. So the carbon light frame means, it's really a carbon-based frame. It's not aluminum, so it's gonna cut some of that weight. But at the same time, it's still gonna be strong. So it's not gonna be like plastic where you get a ton of flex when there's structure. It's actually gonna be a tougher material. With that being said, if you're fishing heavy structure, a pier, a bridge, and you have a 40-inch snook, you could potentially feel some flex. Same's happened with the Daiwa ballistic. Mine, I felt flex on it before, but nothing that really, pushed me back of purchasing a reel like this. I'd rather have the lightweight frame because I fish for 8 to 9 hours a day, so I do get tired, and I think that's where the reel shines from a perspective of weight. This particular reel, which is the 3000, this one is 7.85 ounces. So, a very lightweight reel. The 4000 is going to be an 8.75 ounces reel, and the 2500 is going to be a 7.65. So overall, good weight, very cool. Let's talk about the drag system. So that drag system is very similar to what we had on the Bahia T3 drag system. And what happens with the drag is, what you get from that is you're going to get a buttery smooth drag, right? So a few things you are going to eliminate if you have a good drag. You're going to eliminate a lot of that friction that happens, right? So the sometimes you feel friction on your drag and it starts getting sticky. When you have a very good system, that doesn't happen. The other thing that is very, very important is that you're gonna have less startup inertia. So that means that once you hook that fish and your drag starts running, it's gonna feel seamless, right? It doesn't feel like you stop and then it starts. It's just gonna be a very, once you pull that drag, regardless of the setting you have on it, how heavy, will start running smoothly. And I think that's very important. It's gonna help you out with the fight. It's going to make it easier for you to catch the fish. I will put an example of what that means with the bahia. The bahia has the same system, if I'm not mistaken, and you will see how it works, right? So I'll put that video here in a second. You're going to hear that drag scream for a couple of seconds, and you're going to notice that there's no stickiness to it. So that's great. I just don't want him to get into the... Okay, he's pushing out. That's my PB. Let's talk about the drag. So this particular reel, the 2500 and the 3000, both have 22 pounds of drag, which is great, right? So you have a lot of drag. You don't necessarily need 22 pounds of drag on a lot of the applications that you're going to use this reel for, but I think drag is very important regardless, because you have the option. The more you have, the more options you have. 22 pounds of drag, 24 on the 4000. And the other thing that's nice, something that I noticed on my Daiwa Ballistic is that, and my Fuego, is if I move that lever for the drag a little bit, the rating or the drag rating changes significantly. So this one is very smooth. So it's gonna take a couple of turns to get that dial up, and it's not gonna get sticky, or it's not gonna make you have a lot of tension while you are fighting the fish. So that is very good. When it comes to the grips, I did want to mention a difference. So that this right here is going to be your bell grip. It's going to be the same on the 2500 and the 3000, but on the 4000 you're going to have a T handle. So it's going to be a wider, a bigger paddle that's going to help you out. You know, it's going to give you leverage if you're fighting that fish, which is great. Now, with that being said, some people, you know, love their power handles. That's something that you can upgrade by yourself. But again, I'd rather have that T handle. To me, it's better. It makes it makes the reel feel more balanced. I did own what was the name of that Daiwa Southeast MQ. I ended up selling it. It was a 3000. It's just that power handle, it didn't work well for me. Some people love it, some people hate it. Now let's talk about what I think it's the most important thing on the reel. So it's going to be the gear ratio. So the gear ratio for this reel, and I think it's going to be the same for all the reels, the 25, the 3000, and the 4000. It's going to be, it's a 6-to-1 gear ratio. Just so you know, you're getting 32.6 yards of retrieve on your 2500. You're actually getting 35 yards of retrieve on your per crank, of course, on your 3000, and then on your 4000, it's going to be 36.6. That's great. That tells me the thing with the speed is some people like slower. I like faster because it gives me the option to fish, you know, a faster pace without having to exhaust myself to cranking too fast. But if I want to crank slow, I can just do it, right? I crank slow, and that's not going to get me tired. With the 5, sometimes I feel that I'm just cranking, and it's just it gets me tired. The other thing is that you're going to get that fish to the boat faster. So that for me is very important. In bass fishing, we do that a lot, where we want to have, you know, bring that bass fast before he pulls out of the hook. So same with other species, you always want to bring that fish to you as fast as you can without compromising the fight. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is going to be this, how sealed the reel is. So they have a thing called Eco Sealed, and it's going to be their level 3. So it's their highest level of sealage. What they did here is, so there's a couple of things that are sealed. So your roller bearings are sealed. The roller bearing is going to be sealed. The handle ball bearing is going to be sealed. The rotor nut is going to be sealed. That is very, very important. And the T3 drag system, which is very important also, it's really part of the internal mechanism of the reel. It's also going to be sealed. So from that perspective, you have a lot of saltwater security. Of course, if you have any issue with it, you dump it on the water. That doesn't mean you're not going to clean it. You do have to rinse your reel if you can open it up and clean it, that's perfect. And last but not least, they did mention a couple of things. The fact that for that price, they're giving you their travel bag, and you're actually getting upgraded Torx nuts. So these nuts that you see here, let's see if we can get yep. So let's see. These right here are gonna be Torx nuts, so they're gonna be stronger. They're not gonna be able to get loose, so that's great. Your reel won't be compromised throughout your your fishing tenure with it. So from that perspective, I love it, and I think overall from a impression perspective, I like it. Just as a conclusion to the video, the question would be, would you buy the reel or not? I think for $239 or $249, it's right, it's right on the ballpark with other reels that have similar options. They give you the sealage, they give you a lighter frame. So where I think the reel shines over others, it's going to be the fact that you have good water sealage. You actually have a very high gear ratio, so that's very important, and the fact that you have a very good customer service. Florida Fishing Products is a company established in Tampa. Obviously, the reels are not made in America, but they are a local company to Florida, so I like to support local companies. With that being said, their customer service is top notch. So I think that's very, very good and very important to have nowadays. And the other thing, which I think is very important for some people, they do operate with high moral values. Ty and the crew are very good people. I'm pretty sure you won't get any issues if you have to go through their warranty service, because they do provide a very good service based on the morals that the company has. So with that being said, what we're going to do now is we're going to put this reel to the test. We're going to be fishing with, when are we going to? So we plan to go fishing with it on, I think it's going to be the end of March. We're going to fish Yankeetown. We're going to try to put a 40-pound drum into this reel, and we're going to try to see how it feels, how the drag works, etc. You're all going to get an insight to that. As always, I appreciate your support. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share, and like. If you have any questions, you can contact me through Instagram or Facebook, or you can contact Florida Fishing Products directly through their Instagram. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.